Good morning, everybody. It's a lovely day today. It's sunny. It hasn't got very warm yet. Well, it's like in the 60s, but it's still early on Friday morning. Those of you who know me know I am quite the early bird. It's about 9 o'clock, and I have already been out, done my grocery shopping, done everything I had to do, and I'm back home. I'll be working this weekend, and then next week I'll be on vacation. Uh, but I have a story for you today that I just saw on Nancy Grace last week. As a rule, I do not watch Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace, to me, even with her guest panel on there, if you do not agree, excuse me, with her, she will cut you off because Nancy Grace can never be wrong. And therefore, what's the point of having a guest panel if you're not going to see both sides or hear everybody's opinion? You should just cut them off in the middle of what they're saying. So I do not watch Nancy Grace. However, this particular night she had a guest host on, so she wasn't there, so I watched. And they were talking about a woman in Vancouver, Washington, 51-year-old Donna Williams. Donna Williams killed her husband, 55-year-old Mark Williams. The couple had been married for 30 years. Donna Williams claims that she was a victim of domestic abuse and that on Mother's Day that Mark had been using cocaine and that he punched her in the eye. So after that, I believe it was the next day. I don't know why she waited to the next day, but according to the reports, it was the next day. That while he was sleeping, that she went out to the garage and she got a hammer. And she came back in and she hit her husband in the head 4 times with a hammer. And after she did that, she left and she went to a convenience store. And upon returning back from the convenience store, she goes back into the bedroom where her husband was supposed to be dead and said that he was trying to breathe and was holding his head. So he was still alive. So Donna Williams picks up the hammer and hits him again. And this time it did the trick. And he died. However, she didn't call the paramedics until 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later, she called the paramedics. And they played the 911 tape, and she was just as calm as she could be. She said, "I've killed my husband." And they said, "How did you do it?" And she said, "With a hammer." And they said, "Where's he at?" She said, "In the bedroom." Just that calm. So the paramedics came, and they did find his rotting body, excuse me, in the bedroom. She had him covered up with a sheet, and they said there was blood all over the walls and stuff. And so they take him out and they arrest her. She weighs only, I think they said 96 pounds, somewhere like that. And so they said they really didn't think that she had it in her to do what she did, but she did. She's being held in the Clark County Jail under $750,000 bond. If you see her, she's a beautiful woman, but when you saw her when she was arrested, she looked scary. That was a scary looking woman. But in her pictures, when she's in her, I guess, normal day to day, she was a very pretty woman. It said that she has a good friend, a dear friend, as they put it, named Barbara Bright, who said that Donna acted like an abused woman. She didn't want to be touched, and she didn't want anybody to see her bruises, and she just acted like she was abused. Well, if this dear friend is saying, well, she always acted like an abused woman, if she was such a dear friend, wouldn't she know whether Barbara was being abused? Wouldn't Barbara say, "My husband is beating me, and he's abusing me, and blah, blah, blah"? So then then Barbara would be able to say, well, she often told me about how her husband would beat her. And the reason I say this is because they had a phone conversation on that show with Donna and Mark's daughter. And now the daughter says that while there was abuse in the home, because she grew up with abuse in the home, she said it wasn't, like her dad beat her mom and whatever. She said the abuse went both ways. They both drank, but said her mother drank more than her dad. And that she says she cannot remember ever her mother not drinking. And that her mother would drink and become intoxicated all the time. And that a lot of times she would hear her dad say, "Stop it, Donna. Don't start this, Donna." And said that her mom would be the instigator into most of the arguments and the fights that they had. So, she said that during that 2 weeks, she didn't know that her dad was dead. She had no idea her mom had killed her dad, because she said that, I think like 2 days, before her mom called 911 about it, that she said she had called her mom because she had a problem with her car. And, she wanted to talk to her dad, and tell her dad what was going on with her car, so he could tell maybe what was wrong with it. And said her mom told her, she said, "Well, we've been outside. We've been outside all day. You know how your dad loves going outside." She said, "We've been outside all day, and he's just wore out. He's exhausted, and he's already gone to sleep." She said, "But when he wakes up, I'll have him call you." And she said, "Okay." And the man had been laying there almost 2 weeks, laying there dead in the bed. And she said her mom sounded intoxicated, but she said that's what her mom always sounded. But didn't sound like anything was wrong, and certainly would never make you think that her dad was laying there dead. So this woman is being held on $750,000 bond. What drives a person to kill somebody else? If I am the victim of abuse and I have grown children, I think I would leave and go stay with one of my children before I'd kill somebody. I'm certainly not going to kill anybody, because there's nobody that's going to be worth me going to prison for. That's just not going to happen. So I say that if she says he used cocaine, she probably used cocaine too. And that's probably what sent her over the edge enough to kill. So, but I don't know. Who knows what gets in there? Just like all these people being cannibals these days, the world just gets crazier and crazier and crazier. It makes no sense. And especially when they talk about the synthetic marijuana and all that's making these people really do these bizarre things, eating human bodies and people's faces and all that. If you I hope I never run into somebody like that, because there's just no reasoning with them. There's no rationality to them. People die in strange ways. But anyway, that is the story of Donna and Mark Williams. I'm not sure. I don't think she's got out on bond yet. I'm not even sure if she's had a bond hearing, but I do know that for all of you that follow the George Zimmerman case and the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman had to turn himself in because, they revoked his bond. And he has another bond hearing, I think, on either the 26th or the 29th of this month. So he's going to remain in jail for the next couple of weeks. And then he'll be out on bond. And then they say it's going to be like a year before his trial. So that should be very, very interesting. I know a lot of people that's going to be glued to that. And one of them will be me. And anyway, until next time, bye-bye.